This is the CBS Evening News with Scott Pelley.
Good evening. Scott is on assignment. I'm Maurice DuBois. The suspense is over. The suspensions are about to begin for baseball players caught up in the doping scandal. The commissioner's office announced today that 12 players are being suspended without pay for 50 games, including All-Stars Nelson Cruz of the Texas Rangers and Johnny Peralta of the Detroit Tigers. But the harshest penalty is going to Alex Rodriguez of the New York Yankees. Baseball's highest paid player is being suspended without pay for a record 211 games. The game has not seen punishment of this scope since the Black Sox scandal nearly a century ago. Don Daler is in Chicago, where Rodriguez and the Yankees are playing the White Sox tonight. Don?
Hello, Maurice. Alex Rodriguez has missed most of this season trying to rehab an injured hip. Tonight, weather permitting, he will bat fourth and play third base, but his return to Major League Baseball may be for a limited time only.
The last 7 months has been a nightmare. It's been, probably the worst time of my life, for sure.
Alex Rodriguez now stands alone among the 13 players accused of using performance-enhancing drugs. Late today, he vowed to appeal.
Obviously disappointing with the news today, no question about it. But what we've always fought for is for the process, and I think we have that. And at some point, we'll sit in front of an arbiter and give our case.
Baseball Commissioner Bud Selig explained why Rodriguez's punishment was more severe than the other players, saying, based on his use and possession of numerous forms of prohibited performance-enhancing substances, and for attempting to cover up his violations. The suspension would cost the league's highest-paid player at least $34 million. If the Yankee third baseman serves the full suspension, he would return a 40-year-old man with $60 million left on his guaranteed contract. A-Rod hinted it's the size of that contract that has made him a target.
There's more than one party that benefits from me not ever stepping back on the field. And that's not my teammates, and it's not the Yankee fans.
He signed out of high school.
CBSSports.com writer Danny Nobler has covered the story. A-Rod said he was being singled out. Is he?
Well, yes, he is. Now, the question isn't whether he's being singled out. The question is he being unfairly singled out? Because he's being asked to serve a suspension far longer than anyone else, not only in this case, but anyone else in any drug case in baseball history.
Rodriguez's suspension starts on Thursday. He is allowed to play during his appeal. The process could take months, and if it fails, it could push A-Rod's return to baseball into the 2015 season. What happens now is that both the league and Rodriguez present their case to an arbitrator who will then rule. Maurice, it's worth noting that the Yankees are playing the White Sox tonight, and as you said in the lead-in, the 1919 White Sox threw the World Series for money, and 8 of their players were banned for life.
That is true, Don. Well, what about the other 12 suspended players? What's their status tonight?
Well, the fact that they took the suspensions without appeal means that they're able to start serving those suspensions right now. And for those players whose teams will make the postseason, they will be eligible to play in the playoffs.
Okay, Don Daler in Chicago for us tonight. Thank you very much. Well, the State Department today reopened a number of diplomatic posts, including the embassies in Baghdad and Kabul, but 19 others, including those in Egypt, Libya, and Yemen, will remain closed at least through Saturday because of a terror threat. We know more tonight about the source of that threat. Homeland Security correspondent Bob Orr is in Washington. Bob?
Maurice, that threat surfaced in the past week when intelligence analysts intercepted electronic communications between top al-Qaeda leaders discussing a plot against an unspecified target.
Sources say the head of al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri, was pressing the leader of al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, Nasser al-Waishi, to step up operations against American targets. Sources say the two leaders vaguely referenced something big, noting an attack could happen as early as yesterday, Sunday, August 4th. Waishi, who was once the personal secretary to Osama bin Laden, runs the Yemen-based branch of al-Qaeda that has proven to be the most aggressive in plotting against the U.S. His group, AQAP, is home to an explosives expert who over the past 4 years has targeted U.S.-bound airplanes with bombs hidden inside underwear and computer printers. AQAP has been battered by drone strikes. Deputy Commander Saeed al-Shiri was killed earlier this year. But counterterrorism officials warn AQAP remains dangerous and capable of inflicting serious damage. While U.S. officials were stunned that veteran al-Qaeda leaders broke operational security by openly discussing possible plots, the intelligence remains incomplete. Analysts who worked throughout the weekend still can't say where, when, or how an attack may be carried out. So the U.S. has been forced into a blanket defense. Across North Africa and the Middle East, 19 U.S. diplomatic missions will remain closed through Saturday. And while there is no indication that terrorists are targeting the U.S. mainland, security is being tightened around New York City landmarks and at some of the nation's airports. Now, while nothing obviously happened on August 4th, officials say the threat has not been neutralized. As far as we know, Maurice, no terror operatives have been captured, and there is no intelligence saying al-Qaeda is backing off.
Bob, thank you. The U.S. Army psychiatrist charged in the Fort Hood massacre is known to have traded emails with a former al-Qaeda leader. Tomorrow, Major Nidal Hassan goes on trial in military court for 13 counts of murder and 32 counts of attempted murder in the 2009 attack. Hassan is acting as his own lawyer, which means he can question witnesses, including the victims. Anna Werner spoke with one of them.
The shooting left Staff Sergeant Alonzo Lunsford blind in his left eye and struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder. Now he faces what could be his biggest challenge of all, a possible cross-examination by the man charged with shooting him 7 times, Major Malik Nidal Hassan.
No matter what type of smirk or what type of smart comment that he comes out with, I stay on point, on topic, straight to the point.
How hard is that going to be?
Extremely hard. It's going to be very difficult.
Because?
Because inside me, I want him to physically feel what it feels like to have his life in my hands.
Sergeant Lunsford faced Major Hassan in one previous hearing.
He had the same look on his face that day that he had on his face the day that he shot us. Cold, malice person. So I locked eyes with him to show him that I fear no man.
And do you fear him?
No. The question should be asked, does he fear me?
Do you think he does?
I do. He should.
What is justice to you in this case?
In a perfect world, an eye for an eye. Let it be judged by Islamic law, what death would be by stoning. And if that's the case, then let each one of us have a chance to give it that old American pitch. That's what we need to make sure that justice is served.
That would be pretty harsh justice.
Just as harsh as killing a person in cold blood.
And the prosecution plans to call some 300 witnesses in this case. Maurice, if Major Hassan is convicted, he could get the death penalty.
Anna, thank you. In Los Angeles, there's a call for more barriers to protect people strolling on the Venice Beach boardwalk. On Saturday, a car tore through a crowd there, running down more than a dozen people. One of them was killed. Tonight, the driver is under arrest and could face murder charges. Here's John Blackstone.
A summer evening suddenly turned into a scene of chaos at Venice Beach.
He just revved his car and just accelerated right here and just came up on this bit.
Sean Daly was at the front of his store.
I thought it was a bomb, actually, to be honest.
Thought it was a bomb?
Yeah, because the big boom, you know, it was, and I was just standing at the front and I just heard this big explosion, but it was the ATM that got hit first, and that's what made everyone jump. So everyone saw like ducking like this. It was terrible.
You can see the Dodge sedan in the top left-hand corner of this video, recorded by a surveillance camera. Minutes earlier, another camera captured the driver, 38-year-old Nathan Campbell, out of the car, seeming to check the route he was about to follow. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti.
This tragedy, obviously, this was somebody, they said that he was smiling as he accelerated. If he doesn't have, some sort of mental issue, I would be surprised.
An Italian tourist, Alice Gruppeone, was killed. She was on her honeymoon. In a statement, her family said she was robbed of her life while living her dream visit to California with her husband. Nathan Campbell is being held on $1 million bail. He appears to be a drifter with previous arrests in Colorado for minor offenses, but here he's facing murder charges.
John Blackstone tonight in Los Angeles, thank you. The new president of Iran, who was sworn in yesterday, filled out his cabinet today. It contains a number of reformers who were educated in the West. So could this lead to a thaw in Iran's icy relations with the United States? Elizabeth Palmer is in Tehran.
After his election victory, Iran's new president, that's him on the right, received a blessing from the country's supreme religious leader, who is also a powerful politician. Now everyone is wondering which of these two men, the moderate or the hardliner, will actually be running the country. Hassan Rouhani emerged as the surprise favorite in the presidential race after his campaign caught fire, especially among the young. He's a cleric who studied law in Britain and has decades of diplomatic and political experience. In his inaugural speech, Rouhani said that his government would improve relations between Iran, the region, and the world by building trust through transparency. To international diplomats listening, that was a welcome change of tone, signaling future cooperation. But to the many hardline members of Iran's regime, it sounded like a threat. Political analyst Professor Sadiq Zibakalam says Rouhani will have to fight them first.
He knows that he only have that much authority. The rest is at the hand of hardliner. It's not only the supreme leader, he's confronting a parliament who everyone is against him. He is confronting the judicial system. He is confronting the clergy. He is confronting literally all.
He does, however, have the backing of millions of voters who want him to fix Iran's economy, battered and sinking under the pressure of international sanctions. To get those international sanctions lifted, President Rouhani is going to have to come up with some kind of a deal in nuclear negotiations with the West, due to resume this fall. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, Tehran.
19 men died fighting a wildfire in Arizona. Now some of their families are fighting for survivor benefits. New video may help explain what happened after the crash of Asiana Flight 214 and the hamburger that spares the cow when the CBS Evening News continues. Investigators are looking closely at some new video showing the chaotic moments after Asiana Flight 214 crash-landed in San Francisco last month. These are still images from that video taken by the helmet cam of a battalion chief arriving on the scene. 3 passengers died, including a Chinese teenager who was run over by a fire truck. Investigators hope the tape will explain how that tragic accident occurred. 5 weeks ago, 19 men were killed fighting a wildfire near Yarnell, Arizona. They died together. But it turns out their families may not receive the same compensation. Carter Evans looks into this.
The fire that swept over the Granite Mountain hotshots left Julianne Ashcraft a widow. Her husband, Andrew, was 29 years old.
I want to be able to just be mourning my husband, be supporting my children, be figuring out what our new normal is.
5 more days and you start kindergarten.
But she's been denied the lifetime benefits she was counting on to raise her 4 children. The youngest is 18 months old.
Did you expect that this would be this much of an issue?
No. As shocked as I was that my husband went to work and never came home, I'm equally shocked in how the city has treated our family since then.
All 19 hotshot families will receive workers' compensation and a one-time federal payment of $328,000. But the city insists Ashcraft and 12 others were seasonal employees and therefore not entitled to the lifetime salaries and health benefits worth millions that were given to the 6 full-time hotshots.
I said to them, my husband was a full-time employee. He went to work full-time for you. And what their response to me was perhaps there was a communication issue in your marriage.
We obtained paperwork that shows Ashcraft did earn a full-time salary, and the local firefighters union tells us of the 13 hotshots denied full benefits, Ashcraft was the only one to work 40 hours a week year-round. City officials declined our multiple requests for an interview, but today they sent us this statement saying the city has fully complied with all of the laws and employment policies that direct survivor benefits.
Quite literally, my bills are being paid by the good people of the world that are giving donations because the city of Prescott's not doing anything for us. And now I have 4 kids and myself, and I don't know what I'm going to do.
Her plans may soon include a lawsuit against the city. Carter Evans, CBS News, Prescott, Arizona.
There is something very different about this hamburger. That story's coming up. The Graham family has run the Washington Post for 4 generations, but that is coming to an end. The paper announced today it's being sold to Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon.com. Price tag, $250 million. Bezos said he understands the Post's critical role in Washington, and he promised the paper's values won't change. Well, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, but you can make a hamburger without hurting a cow. In London today, Dutch scientists cooked up a hamburger they grew in a laboratory. They started with stem cells taken from the shoulder muscles of 2 cows. The cells were placed in a nutrient solution to help them grow into strands of meat. Experts say making burgers this way is easier on the environment and, of course, the cows. But would the burgers pass the taste test? The verdict from a nutritionist and a journalist who tried it today is that it has the texture of a traditional burger, though not quite the taste because it has no fat. The thinking is the formula can be tweaked to let some of the stem cells develop into fat cells. You won't find this burger on the dollar menu anytime soon. It costs $330,000 to develop. In our final story tonight, a woman who sees this neighborhood as the shame of the city is using the power of shame to save it. That's next. The legendary journalist H.L. Mencken wrote that his row house in Baltimore was as much a part of him as his hands, and that such feelings for one's home were more enduring there than in any other big city in America, giving Baltimore its superior charm. Jeff Pegues has the story of a woman who's out to restore that charm to her corner of the city.
There are 16,000 abandoned row houses in Baltimore. They often become dens for drug use or worse.
I don't know what's down there.
We met Carol Ott on the east side of town.
I mean, it's crazy. You're standing in basically what amounted to, at one time, a vibrant, healthy, active community. Now it's just a wasteland.
What does this say about a city when you have this number of vacant homes?
It says that nobody cares. You're not worthy of our attention, our time, and our money.
She got tired of waiting for somebody to do something. Wow, that looks pretty run down.
Yeah, it is.
So 5 years ago, she decided to publicly shame the owners by posting their names and photos of their buildings on her website, Baltimore Slumlord Watch. Have you had any contact with these landlords that you try to expose, and what are they saying to you?
They offer a lot of excuses as to why they can't fix up their properties. They don't have the money. The tenants will just destroy it anyway. You know, if you don't have the money to fix it up, then don't buy it. How about that?
Do you blame anyone for this?
It's everybody's fault. We all let this happen. You know, generations of people have allowed this to happen, and generations allow it to continue to happen.
She's been criticized for showcasing the worst of this city.
I think in order to build something up, sometimes you need to tear it down a little.
And that's what's starting to happen. Some of the owners she's embarrassed are cleaning up and securing the vacant houses.
There's a lot of frustration, and there's a lot of sadness, and there's a lot of anger. But coming to these neighborhoods, you also have to see that there's a lot of joy. You know, people are born here, they die here. There's all the normal, everyday human stuff that goes on right where we are, just like in any other neighborhood across America.
As Carol Ott sees it, this is a mission to restore a city still filled with pride, with a little tough love. Jeff Pegues, CBS News, Baltimore.
And that is the CBS Evening News for tonight. For Scott Pelley, I'm Maurice DuBois. Thanks for joining us. Good night.
Closed captioning is proudly sponsored by Citracal.
A calcium chew this decadent and sugar-free? New Citracal sugar-free chocolate chews, giving you calcium plus D in a tasty little package.